Cringe is dead. I say that as I'm sitting as far away as I can from any other person. My butt is wet. I stained my bag with the wood of this table. Trucks and buses are going past. 2 tradies sat down over there, but it's fine because you know why? Cringe is dead. This isn't going to be like an essay. It's just some thoughts that I had in the shower. When I was little, I identified as a fangirl, as lots of people did. And I would... My friend group and I had this shared iCloud photo album, and they would all put whatever they put in, like photos of us, and for some reason I decided that my contribution to this photo album would be just as many pictures as I absolutely could of Newt from The Maze Runner. Because I was in love with him. Maybe I still am, that's none of your business. But, and they would be like, why are you doing that? And I was like, why wouldn't I be doing that? It's Newt from The Maze Runner. And with that same friend group, we had this essay that we had to do. And mine, it was like, what's your hobby? And mine that I decided to do it on, I was like, I don't do anything else. So I wrote mine on fangirling. I did this detail, like, you don't have to be a girl to be a fangirl. It's a gender neutral term, blah, 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 blah. And I was so nervous to do it. And I was embarrassed, but I still did it. Like, go queen. And it just makes me wonder, like, at what point, because I was a teenager when I did that, at what point do we let the cringe win? At what point do we stop being 100% ourselves and we start being embarrassed? We start seeing things as cringe. I think too, it was easier back then, back in 2016. But because everything is so TikTokified now, it's like everything I do, someone could film it and put it on TikTok and it could go viral. And I don't want the whole world looking at me and going, oh my God, look at that silly, cringy thing she did. And I think it's making it harder for, adults, but specifically for kids to, live their lives, do those cringy things, because who cares? Like, I had fun writing that. I enjoyed it. It was something I was interested in, and I taught my friends and my friends' parents what I was into at the time. As embarrassing as it is, I wish I could find it. I don't know where it is. Have I looked? No. But yeah, also, if I look kind of raggedy, I just finished the scariest roller skate of my life, so I conquered a tiny little hill and a bunch of bark. Stop the presses. But yeah, so that's why I look raggedy, but whatever, cringe is dead. Some days you can look raggedy and it doesn't matter. Another thing that probably helped with that fangirling was that I was in the theatre. I remember my mum saying, you're doing theatre, and I was like, absolutely, go away, I'm not doing that, that's terrifying, because I was very shy when I was young. I still am now, but I think that's just anxiety. I'm not sure, I'm just anxious. Her putting me in theatre was the best thing that she has ever done. That's not true, but it's one of the best things she's ever done, because it brought me out of my shell. It gave me friends that I didn't have, those kinds of friends, and it just opened my eyes. I don't do theatre anymore, but I miss it. I think about it all the time and how much I wish I could still do that. Like, I could join a show, but it's not the same, it's not the same. But yeah, and the constant embarrassment that you would have to fight, that I would have to fight every time I went to drama, it was constant. And like getting up on stage and people hearing my voice, I did this this optional musical. We did Narnia the musical, and they were like, so what are you, alto or soprano, and I was like, I don't know. And they said, oh, well, just go for me. And I said, bitch, I'm not doing that. And looking back now, I'm like, why did you even go in a musical? You didn't want to sing. I did sing when everyone else was singing, but on my own, because that just like embarrassment curdles up in me. But yeah, I don't know, something switched, and now I'm just kind of like, let's have fun. Oh, life is short, let's have fun. Who cares if I'm a little bit embarrassing? Which is, listen, that's something I still have to fight for, because I don't want to be embarrassing. But I think it's important, because if I sit around my whole life and go, I'm not doing that because I'll be embarrassed, or it's cringe, it's not going to be a very fun life, is it? That's also a thought about that whole Eddie Munson thing, the supernova. I don't know. I think, yeah, it was a bit cringe, but it wasn't hurting anyone. The people that were there were obviously having fun. And that's just, yeah, it made me kind of, like, the media got to me and I was like, yeah, that is cringe. But now that I look back, I'm like, wow, I wish I hadn't sort of, not that I've said anything to anyone, but in my mind I was like, cringe. But I wish I had have just, like, let them be in my head, just going, no, they're just having fun, they're just dressing up as a character that they like. Yeah, is the character cringe? Yeah, do I still love him? Yeah. Can I think about that? Throwing balls into laundry baskets scene without, again, curdling up inside? No, I can't. But another thing, while we're on that sort of fangirling lameness, is the One Direction train. When they came out, when I was like 8, that it was cool to like One Direction, and then it absolutely wasn't. It felt like you are the scum of the earth if you like One Direction. And now looking back, what? It's just a band. It's just so frustrating, because it's like, let people like what they like. I remember when I first started listening to One Direction, because I am a Directioner, I was probably 16, and I was sort of exiting my like all-time low MCR phase, and I just started listening to One Direction, and I downloaded a different app to download the One Direction songs onto, because I didn't want anyone to see on my Apple Music that I was listening to One Direction. That's how embarrassed I was of it, over this thing that was nothing. So now I'm a proud Directioner. But it's also, when you think about it, a little bit sexist. Because it actually frustrates me, because when has there ever, like, this is such an obvious take, but when has there ever been a girl band that, or whatever, an anime girl, that men get bullied for liking, like women get bullied for liking One Direction? This has been said before, but like comparing football fans to One Direction fans, like that same ideology, like the screaming, the merch, the obsession, like, it's just ridiculous and frustrating. And it sort of falls into that, like, oh, boys will be boys, and girls can't do that because girls mature faster. Girls aren't allowed to like things. It just makes me so sad that, like, if you get too existential, I think, yeah, existential. Anyway, moving on. About how it's the same with capitalism. Like, we are so lucky to be alive. Like, the chances of us being alive are so slim, and we spend our days pretending like we don't like things and going to work, when we should be loving things with everything we have, and living life to the fullest. Makes me mad. I know I said that, but it does. The other thing too is, I don't think, well, I probably have, but when people like things loudly, like they don't hide their interests and they tell you about it and they rant about it, that is so like, oh my God, I'm just so in awe of them every single time, those kinds of people. And I've got that like, oh, other people can do it, but I can't do it. I actually can't like things, but other people can. The other thing too is, when was the last time you saw someone who was so outwardly passionate about something and you were like, ugh? I can think of a few, to be honest, which is sad, and I'm going to work on that, to let other people live their lives like they want to, as long as they're not hurting anyone. Because that's how I want to live my life, and who am I to want to live my life like that and shame other people for it? You know, that's not good. But yeah, I feel like when I see people who are so wholly themselves, it's like, yeah, man, that's what I want, that's the dream. And yeah, the way to get there is not to bring those people down, but to lift them up and lift yourself up too. When I was little too, I got this was like the same period, I think, where I was unabashedly a fangirl, but also I wanted to start wearing beanies because I was an emo. I wanted to start wearing beanies, and I was like sick to my stomach with nerves to wear a beanie, which kinda, because we live in Australia, well, I live in Australia, so it's never really cold enough to wear a beanie, especially when I was wearing beanies. But I was so nervous. I remember the first time I did, I got it at like an Eka, and it was like a $2 beanie that came in a show bag. And I had it in my cupboard for ages, and I was like, all right, this weekend when we go camping, that's when I'm going to be wearing this beanie for the first time, because it'll be windy and cold. Oh, I remember going to everyone in my family saying, does this look okay? Does this look okay? And they were like, it's a beanie. Yeah, of course it does. And it was just, same with, because I used to be very anti-skirts on myself. I didn't care about other people, but on myself, I was just like, this is so embarrassing. I would only wear tracky dacks and long sleeves because I didn't like my elbows or my knees. I'm fine with that now, obviously, but bam, elbow reveal. But when I started wearing dresses for the first time, I did go pretty crazy, and I did say I was going to start dressing like I lived in the 40s. So I bought all 40s dresses. Yeah, that was pretty embarrassing. I went to a theatre show actually for the first time with my dress on. I saw The Lord of the Flies, and I thought I would be fine because there'd be no one there that I knew. And then one of my school friends' mums showed up, and I was like, oh, I am wearing a dress. And that happens to me sometimes still. I feel like I'm wearing a costume when I wear it. Oh, that's what is happening to me at the moment. Long skirts. I want to be a long skirt girly so bad, but I feel like I'm dressed up in like Bridget and Era. When I wear a long skirt, like, girl, it's just a skirt. Everyone wears skirts. You can too. But it's like, where did I get that idea from that I couldn't wear skirts? But yeah, I don't know what the lesson is from this. I think it's just do everything in your power to live passionately, to find your passions, and don't be ashamed of them, no matter how much you feel like you should be. Yeah, I'm very glad that I did this. I was thinking about it, not for very long, because I'm pretty impulsive sometimes. But I was like, this is where I'm going to go to this park. And I did a roller skate, and now I'm talking to a camera with people in eyesight, and probably earsight too. Earsight range? Listening range? Whatever. But yeah. So those are my thoughts on cringe and why we should abolish it. Mina for president, cringe is abolished. I'm passing a law. No one's allowed to be cringe. And when I say no one's allowed to be cringe, I mean people are allowed to be cringe, but cringe isn't real. I I keep saying it too. I keep saying cringe is dead, cringe is dead, cringe is dead. And then so far, up until this sort of point, I hadn't really done anything to act like I thought cringe was dead. Like my cousin would do something, I'd be like, cringe doesn't exist, you're fine. Or my friend started a book talk, and I was like, yeah, girl, go for it. Cringe doesn't exist, so don't stress about it. And then I hadn't done any of that. So I'm very proud of myself for overcoming my own personal cringe and starting my YouTube channel, because I keep thinking like that treating yourself as a friend thing. If one of my friends started a YouTube channel, I would be psyched. Am I going to tell them about this? No, it's going to be my little secret. But yeah, that's all. Thanks for listening to my little rant. As I said, nothing to back it up. Just my thoughts, just my rambles. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.